Welcome back to the ABCs of ERP and Beyond, the podcast that's all about enterprise resource planning software and how it helps run businesses through such a dedicated system. If you're new to the world of ERP and you're looking to learn about inventory control, better bookkeeping, real-time data analytics, amongst everything else, then this is where this podcast comes in. We discuss things like business processes, ERP technology, AI, which I love, organizational change management, and everything in between. And I certainly couldn't do it without my co-host, Nirav Shah. Welcome back.
Thank you, Peter. Happy to be here. Excited to talk about this part two. And we have a number of things to continue that review of all the different challenges that retail e-commerce, e-commerce sites face when it comes to inventory management. Inventory management is a huge deal. And if your inventory is not right, it's going to turn off a lot of people. You're going to be quickly out of business. So I'm hoping that, what we've been discussing here in our last episode and this episode, that it helps maybe a struggling retail e-commerce site turn the page, right? Get more organized, be able to control their inventory, and get to a place where they could properly service their customers. Because really, inventory is the biggest number on the balance sheet. And if it's not managed properly, it could take your business down. I'm hoping that this helps other companies out there kind of, straighten out their inventory, especially in the retail e-commerce space.
So part one, we covered challenges with not using an ERP. Then we moved on to what an ERP can do, things like real-time inventory tracking, automation with both sales processing, reordering, restocking. We talked about seasonality, how we handle seasonality, how we handle kind of end-of-life product lines, ones that are slowly dying, and how do we make sure that we don't end up with cash tied up in slow-moving stock. And then we moved on to physically warehouse management and then loss prevention. So that was part one. Part two, we've got first on the list is omni-channel inventory management. So how do ERP systems support inventory management across maybe different ways of fulfilling customer orders, maybe between online and offline channels, for example?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. It's very important, right? Retail e-commerce, people that sell on retail e-commerce, they're not just selling on their own site, right? Yeah, you have your own website, maybe through BigCommerce, WooCommerce, Shopify, but you're also probably selling on Amazon. You're also probably selling on eBay. You're also selling on these other, marketplaces, essentially, right? So first is define what omni-channel inventory management is, right? It's basically a way of managing and reconciling your inventory across multiple sales channels. That includes even social media, right? We talked about e-commerce platforms and maybe some brick and mortar locations that you have where you have some POS. So omni-channel itself is really by definition how you're going to get reliable information across all these different places that you sell accurately. What you don't want is your eBay site saying you have 5 available, your brick and mortar store has 1 available, Amazon says you have, 0 available, right? And then your site, right, shows that it's back ordered, right, or whatever it is. That's not going to give a good customer experience at the end of the day, right? So it's really important in the omni-channel, especially, to have a single source of truth. And your single source of truth of inventory control should be coming from your ERP, right? Because that's where you're doing all your pluses and minuses of your inventory that's coming in and going out daily, right? And it stays real time. So the number that's there in your ERP could then be broadcasted out to your different omni-channel platforms. So now you have the same number across your platforms and are reliably taking orders to fulfill them in that accurate time frame that you promised to the customer.
Mm.
So omni-channel is just not on your website. It's how we identify that inventory across all the places that you sell. Right. Now in
Mm.
ERP, there's a lot of ERPs, especially Acumatica and Business Central, that are a little bit more intelligent. So if you wanted to, have specific inventory levels at specific sites, show specific numbers. They could do that for you. Like let's say for eBay, if you were less than 10, you wanted to show you had nothing available. And let's say for if you're less than 10 on your website, you only wanted to show that you had five available. Well, you could do that, right? Maybe you want to create some buffers, right? You don't want to be one to one. You want to create some buffers. So, you get some more orders on one website than on other website. You could do that intelligently in your system, but it's all controlled from one place. You're not having to control and have rules in different places. So the key is how do you optimize, how do you synchronize and consolidate, your tracking and management of your inventory across all these different omni channels. And the best way to do it, start it with your ERP. The ERP is
Mm.
going to be your single source of truth when it comes to seeing this inventory across these other platforms.
Mm. I assume that if I have an outsourced fulfillment company, I can still have that separate from maybe my own warehouse in terms of
Absolutely.
inventory,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
and still do stock transfers
Hmm.
and whatever else. Could I
Yeah,
also do purchase orders into a fulfillment company
you can.
so they can receipt in?
They could receive in as well. Absolutely. Absolutely. There could be, um, you know, EDI API set up where inventory is received in. That's obviously see if the other warehousing entity is capable to send and receive electronic messages. So if they are, then they could go ahead and receive something in from your purchase order, and then you could get that back automatically via API directly back into your ERP for real-time visibility of what's been received at that fulfillment center, or 3PL essentially. Yeah, I mean possibilities are endless nowadays, right? The more automated you can make this, the more reliable that information is going to be. Um, and then you could actually take more action on, the cost side of inventory control. Do we take this item from our warehouse and move it to a drop shipping type of, methodology or whatever you want to do. But once you could do that with ERP, you can make those decisions on how to better manage your business.
Right. Going back to cost savings, then, where are my biggest savings going to be in having an ERP handle inventory? Would you
It's
say?
yeah, it's gonna be being able to understand what your holding costs are, right? What your ordering costs are, right? Maybe you're ordering more than you're actually having to ship on a monthly basis. So why are you always ordering more, right? That's gonna tie up your cash, right? And the reverse side of it is also true. Maybe you're not ordering enough to get optimal quantity breaks with your vendors, right? If material cost is sometimes
Mm.
immaterial, like if it doesn't cost that much, might as well order an extra 100 because you could knock the per unit cost down by 50 cents to $1, right? Which ultimately it's going to sell because you have that historical data in your ERP. You're going to make a margin on it, a bigger margin than you were, right? So
Mm.
you could have that cost savings. Maybe you can reduce the price and get more orders through the door because you're able to absorb a lower price on it now because you're getting it at a lower cost from your vendor, essentially, right? Those are the different type of analytics that you'll get from an ERP to be able to control your costs and come out with better margins for your items that you're selling to your customers.
Mm. Yeah, it sounds like there's two sides or two avenues to go down in terms of pure cost savings, capitalizing on price breaks, and then better use of cash because then I might be able to invest in um, might be something software based, or I could
Exactly.
invest in maybe new opportunities that I previously didn't think that I could because I didn't have enough of a cash reserve to be able to explore other expansions to a business because, well, I've tied it up in all the stock that's
That's
going to
right.
sit in the
That's
warehouse.
right. Exactly. And I don't know about you, but I've been through a lot of warehouses in my 20 years of experience of doing these implementations. and you just see rows and rows and rows and rows of same inventory. And it gets to a point where you get to the back of the warehouse and like kind of in the corner, this dungy little corner right at the back of the warehouse, and there's like another 5 skids of it just covered in cobwebs,
Yeah.
just completely
Yeah.
covered in cobwebs. And you're like, did they not get the point that they shouldn't order more at this moment when you had five sitting in this corner? And they just continue to order, 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 right? Because they didn't have proper inventory management systems. They were relying on Excel spreadsheets. They kept thinking that they had to keep ordering without understanding what they had on hand.
Mhm.
Big
That's an
issue.
interesting point. I don't think we covered that, but we haven't covered that. Stock control. So
Yeah.
ERP stock control, first in, first out, stock rotations.
Yep.
Can ERP hand at least aid with this?
100%. 100%. Right? You talk about first in, first out, last in, first out, right? The system keeps tracks of all these different inventory layers that are coming in, right? By date. So it knows what inventory layer to use for costing and fulfillment based on
Right.
this electronic, you know, ability, programming ability that systems have inherently to keep track of that accurately. So
Hmm.
it'll tell you, hey, use that first stock that came in, that dungy little corner in your warehouse, that the stock with all this cobwebs, go grab that thing first and start using it instead of what just came through the door right now, right? It will help you rotate that inventory a lot more seamlessly. So, you know, ultimately, you have more inventory turns, but they're shorter. So instead of you turning your inventory every 90 days, maybe you're turning inventory 30 days because you're able to use the FIFO method effectively, right? And reduce the number of orders that you have to do your vendors, right? Whatever the goal is, every retail e-commerce company has an inventory goal. You have to come up with your goal, right? And that goal should translate to how you're going to manage that inventory in your ERP. So you got to set
Hmm.
those rules up in your ERP to help support that goal.
Hmm. Talking about inventory, there's different ways that we should handle inventory, I guess, dependent on the methodology. So I think you mentioned it before, drop shipping. I know we've got other ones like consignment based, made to stock, made to order, special orders.
Mhm.
Uh, how do we? We're going to have to treat them differently somehow. So can we set them up as particular? Can we have inventory that's known as consignment inventory and treat that in one process, separate to how we would have something that's made to order? Can we do that?
Yeah, absolutely. And let me take a step back, right? Fundamentally in business, you have to be able to change. You have to be able to adapt. Your business, the way it's operating today, is going to look a little different next year. Maybe even the year after that, right? And the year after that. And the reason why I bring that up is if you have a good ERP system, you could change your business for the better. Okay? An example of that is, let's say, an item that you've been stocking historically that you fulfill from your customers all the time, right? From your warehouse. But maybe at some point you realize with logistics costs going up, fuel going up, all the different tariffs that are there, labor is going up, you may realize, hey, why don't I take advantage of a program that my vendor has that allows my vendor to blind ship on my behalf, so I don't have to take on these additional costs. I don't have to worry
Mm,
about the freight costs. I don't got to worry about the extra labor costs. I could maybe downsize my warehouse where my vendor will take my order. I'll give my order to my vendor, pass it through to them, and they will blind ship it to my customer. So it looks like I'm shipping it, but my
yeah.
vendor takes on the part of fulfillment. Drop shipping, you're stocking it initially, now you're drop shipping it, and maybe that increases your margins considerably, right? But you need a good system to be able to analyze that. Another part of it is consignment. Let's say you're holding so much of your vendor's inventory, you're buying it all the time, and you're running reports out of your ERP and you see that, hey, we're buying $1 million of this vendor's inventory all the time. Let's approach the vendor and be like, hey, we're buying from you all the time. Help us free up our cash flow. Let us get some of this stuff on consignment. We're gonna pay you anyways. We're gonna turn this
Yeah.
over, right? Instead of clogging up your cash on that $1 million up front, pay it based on usage as orders come in from your sites,
Yep.
right? Make that business decision, right? Don't be scared. Challenge your business to be better, and the data's in your ERP to be able to be better, right? At the end of the day, make to order is another one, right? Make to order. A lot of times Etsy is a big retailer marketplace, right? A lot of that stuff is one-off stuff that they're making personalized for people based on what they're
Mm.
ordering. So, you might be able to take in your order from Etsy and then start realizing, yeah, only a certain part of my product is actually really what I consider make to order. These other parts are kind of standard. So I should aggregate the standard items and purchase them more in bulk so I don't have to
Mm.
order them one at a time all the time. With my vendor, maybe get a better cost savings at the end of the day. But you could do this, and when you do this, you could come out with better product lines, more product lines that you can sell on Etsy because you're more lean, you're more efficient at the end of the day, right? You could start embracing these other ways to do business with your inventory, have your inventory make money for you instead of you being scared that you don't have enough inventory or that you're held hostage by bad inventory numbers and scared that you're gonna, not be able to fulfill to your customer at the end of the day. You need good systems
Mm.
in place, and back-end operations is so crucial to retail e-commerce, platforms to ensure that that's in place. And I think, that should be step number two after the website, right? Let's get the customer experience and let's get our back end operations in line and ready to go and have that humming, so we could continue reach our customers and service them better.
Going back to the Etsy part, I guess could we do the same methodology if we had pre-assembled or part-assembled um, products? So maybe I've consumed some items from my bill of materials into a part-assembled product that I can't sell, but I can have as like work in progress. Can I handle these kind of things like raw material? But I want to see that I've consumed it, but I haven't yet got a finished product. It's
Yeah,
kind of in a work in progress. Can I do that?
absolutely, absolutely. Items could come over into FC as into the sales order itself, and it could be attached to a bill of material, right? Now, when you know a bill of material, what items go into what, you can start costing it properly. You could maybe start an operation where you want to subcontract maybe part of that bill of material because it's cheaper. Essentially, bring it in and then you do the last piece of it, which is the personalization of the part. But you need that data to make that decision, right? Why do everything in-house when you could get it done cheaper potentially?
Hmm. I think I've seen in Business Central. We should have a look at this at some point.
Yeah.
Like a really cool Gantt chart of
Hmm.
how everything lines up, and we can't start building this part until
Yeah,
this part's done, and then we
exactly.
can see how far out it's going to be until it's ready. Then we
Hmm.
can spot gaps where we could optimize and reduce the lead time. We should
Absolutely.
have a look at that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think that's going to be a great other episode to look at. Um, looking at the supply chain of those parts moving through your, warehousing floor. Because you
Hmm.
got the one end where the orders are coming in from your retail e-commerce spaces, but then efficiently moving it through your warehouse, right? But you need a system to be able to do that, right? You can't just keep
Mm-hmm.
popping up Excel spreadsheets like you know I don't know, like you're like the different seasons of a year keep popping up a new Excel spreadsheet. You need to have some consistency and some reliability with that data.
Yeah. So when you find yourself on like version 16 of the inventory report in Excel, just take a step back.
No, the best is when they're looking through version control and they're saying, "Wait a minute, this number was lower 4 versions ago," and they're trying to find a version that had it, and then they're going back and trying to then figure out like, okay, what the hell happened in between?
Yeah. Yeah, someone's saved
Someone
a
delete
copy
this
of it
line.
and
Someone deleted
then
this
changed
line.
it.
Yeah, someone deleted this line, and that's with the ERP. It's auditable. You can't delete things in the subledger, right?
Yeah,
So, the good or bad, ugly, it's all going to be in there, right? Whether it's a
yeah.
mistake, whether it's not a mistake, it's going to be in there, and you'll be able to quickly ascertain, how you want to go ahead and move on with that data reliably to conduct your business.
Whenever I think about that, I always remember a story of a few years ago. I had someone at work that had managed to. There was hidden rows. It was like revenue expectations per like product line, and there were some hidden rows. And they did some formula. They were so pleased with themselves that they, like applied 10% or something like that, 10 or 15%, and then they dragged the formula down. But that meant they dragged it over all of the hidden rows. So instead, they filtered it down to just the stuff they cared about, and then did a formula. And they were so pleased. They dragged it down, but they didn't realize they applied that formula to every single row in between. It
Brilliant.
completely ruined this. And of course, they saved it, and it was on an on-prem server, so we didn't
Brilliant.
have like the power of version control in SharePoint or something like that. It's just an on-prem server,
Oh my
local
God.
file,
Brilliant. That,
saved quick. And I came in, I was like, hang on a second.
what's the worst that could happen?
Yeah, just dragged the whole lot down, saved, and went on their merry way. So,
Heard that one before, unfortunately.
yeah, luckily we managed to recoup one.
There you
We
go.
had a Blade server next to it that was taking snapshots in time.
Yeah.
So we managed to pull the file from a previous snapshot the day before.
Which is a new trend right now in inventory management is smart sheets. We should do an episode on that. Like they're creating these smart sheets as like fake full like ERP systems, all this logic and automation in it,
All
which
right, okay,
scares the
nice,
crap out of me.
brilliant. So someone's got trigger happy with macros and stuff
Yes,
in Excel. So.
yes, 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 yes. We should do one. We should do one. Do an episode on that because that could be very dangerous.
Yeah, yeah. Just that's there's one that's a little bit like that for finance. What's it called? Oh, QuickBooks. That's
There you go. Yeah, yeah.
it. Oh, so if we get a cease and desist from QuickBooks.
I know, I know, I know. We might, but we probably won't stop though.
No. Very good. I think what we've seen over the last two episodes is that it's not like it won't be an overnight thing, and it's not going to be suddenly you won't have any inventory worries, but it's going to be these small um, little pieces that will start to build and build, and you're going to slowly over time see these cost savings and better control and more accurate and timely insights into everything, really, in terms of cost, in terms of sales, in terms of supply chain optimizations. Like all these things start to add up, don't they? You're not going to just suddenly overnight see a chunk of cost saving. But over time, I guess you're going to start to see bits and pieces here and there that will hopefully translate into significant savings and operational advantages kind of over the long term. Would you agree?
I 100% agree. I mean, look, let's face it. This is the future. We're shopping online, right? Brick and mortar is slowly kind of going away. And I'm not saying it's dying. People say it's dying. I'm not saying it's dying. So out there, no, brick and mortar is not dying. It's probably being reduced in its capacity, um, in terms of the shopping experience. But that in turn, because of the digital, shopping, platforms out there now, inventory control is probably getting even more important than it ever was before. So, don't rely on outdated systems. Get something that's true and proven that's going to help you grow in this new era of shopping experiences for the consumer. Because When you could do that, you could open up the doors for a lot of other opportunities and keep your business thriving in this digital world.
Mic drop. That was a mic drop moment there. Yeah, very good. Good. Well, as ever, absolute pleasure, Nirav.
Absolutely.
Really good, really insightful. It's great to hone in on a specific point of a business, which is all of the inventory stuff. And hopefully, someone has found something useful in this. If you do have any questions, let us know. Put comments in, whether it's on YouTube or whether you drop us a message on LinkedIn. Details will be pasted everywhere. So get in contact if you have any corrections that we may have slipped on. As long as your name is in QuickBooks, everything
Yeah.
we said about QuickBooks is true.
Correct.
But yeah, just let us know. Just drop some questions in, and if you have any stories that you want to add or inventory nightmares, let us know, and we can grab you
Ooh,
onto a
that's a good
podcast
one.
and
Inventory nightmares. We got to
inventory
do one.
nightmares.
We
Yeah,
got to do
yeah,
one. We got
yeah.
to do one.
It's like kitchen nightmares, but just with
Yeah.
business and inventory.
Cool.
Very good. Until next time, take it easy, and
Awesome.
I'll catch you on the next one.